You sit in a windowless conference room in Peoria at 11:45 p.m. You compare 300 travel expense receipts to a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet does not foot. This ends in a private terminal at Teterboro. A legal team in Dublin reassigns $4 billion in intellectual property to a shell company in Bermuda. You arrive at the client site in Secaucus at 7:30 a.m. You scan your temporary visitor badge. The coffee in the break room is lukewarm. You sit at a folding table. You open the audit software. You download the 5,000-line general ledger. You match invoice numbers to bank statements. The average starting salary for a Big Four associate in New York City is $85,000. New York state tax rates for this bracket are 5.85%. You divide the net deposit by the 80 hours you worked this week. Are you actually auditing the cash? You highlight the unverified cells in yellow. You eat a spinach salad from a clear plastic container. Your laptop fans spin against the table. The fluorescent lights above you flicker at 60 hertz. You look at the remaining rows. You tell yourself that the CPA license is the only credential that survives a recession. You manage 3 first-year associates who cannot find the depreciation schedules in the shared drive. You stay at the client site until 2 a.m. You review their work papers. You mark the incorrect cells in red. You open a new document. You draft the management representation letter. Your phone screen lights up on the desk. It shows 4 missed calls from your mother. You turn the phone face down. You drive to a cold warehouse in New Jersey. You walk down the concrete aisles. You verify the physical existence of $40 million in inventory. You count boxes of brass industrial valves. Public accounting firms experience a 20% annual turnover rate among senior associates. The Society for Human Resource Management calculates the cost of replacing a skilled employee at 1.5 times their base salary. You look back at the clipboard. You write down the serial numbers from the top crate. You tell yourself that the upcoming promotion to manager will finally stabilize the schedule. You sit in a glass office in Midtown. You look at the utilization report for your engagement team. The realization rate is 82%. You open a new spreadsheet. You call the client's CFO. You discuss a $1.2 million discrepancy in their revenue recognition. You use the term conservative accounting 3 times during the 10-minute call. You hang up the phone. The firm bills the client $450 per hour for your time. The Big Four firms reported a combined global revenue of $203 billion in 2024. Audit services account for 35% of this total. You review the unbilled hours. You approve the timesheets for 3 senior associates. You receive a bonus of $12,000 in December. You buy a Peloton. You place it in the corner of your bedroom. You drape a dry-cleaned shirt over the handlebars. You tell yourself that you are building a network that will eventually buy your freedom. You spend 60% of your time in sales meetings. You pitch a tax transformation project to a chemical company in Houston. The proposed engagement fee is $3 million. You explain the cash flow benefits of research and development tax credits. You take the client's controller to a steakhouse. The dinner bill is $900. You put the charge on the firm's corporate American Express card. Big Four transparency reports show senior managers in the United States earn a median total compensation of $240,000. The American Institute of Certified Public Accountants states the transition to equity partner takes an average of 11 years. You attend a partner track interview in a glass boardroom. You sit across from the regional managing partner. You describe your active book of business. You list the specific engagements you originated. Do you have enough billable leverage to clear the panel? You do not mention your family. You tell yourself that the politics are just another variable to be audited. You specialize in international transfer pricing. You sit in an office in San Jose. You draft a 200-page master file report. You document the justification for a subsidiary in Singapore, charging the United States headquarters $500 million in management fees. You cite Section 482 of the Internal Revenue Code. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, BEPS framework, includes 15 specific actions for corporate tax compliance. Global transfer pricing disputes involve over $300 billion in tax revenue annually, according to OECD data. The IRS auditor sends an information document request with 3 questions. You provide 400 physical boxes of printed documents. The freight elevator takes 10 trips to move the load. The audit closes with 0 proposed adjustments. You bill the client $750 an hour for the defense phase. You fly business class from San Francisco to London London. You stare at the seatback monitor. You watch a movie without sound. You tell yourself that jurisdictional complexity establishes a defensible tax position. You sign the audit opinion for a Fortune 500 manufacturing client. The ink is black. You hold 1,200 equity units in the partnership. Your Schedule K1 tax form displays $1.4 million in ordinary business income. You pay your own health insurance premiums out of pocket. Accounting publication, Going Concern, documents the average capital contribution for a new Big Four partner at $300,000. The firm coordinates an internal bank loan to cover this buy-in. You travel to a quarterly partners meeting in Chicago. You drink water from a glass bottle. You cast a ballot on the mandatory retirement age of the senior partners. The measure passes. You sit in the back row of the conference hall. You open a market application. You check the spot price of gold on your phone screen. You check the lock on the door. You sign a directive. You move 2,000 employees from audit to consulting. You terminate office leases in Ohio and Indiana. You fly to Washington. You enter SEC headquarters on F Street. You meet with the chairman. You discuss the definition of auditor independence. The Securities and Exchange Commission issued $4.9 billion in fines and disgorgements in 2023. This was the highest amount in agency history. You authorize a $500 million firm investment in generative AI. You return to New York. You sit at your desk. You eat a turkey sandwich. The bread is dry. You look at the rain on the glass. You adjust your tie. You sit in a conference room in Davos. The table is wood. The room has no artwork. 4 guards stand outside the doors. You speak to a prime minister. The topic is tax harmonization. He drinks water from a glass. You propose a structure. The structure bypasses 3 jurisdictions. The entities register in Bermuda. The transaction moves $12 billion in property rights. The World Inequality Lab reports the top 0.1% of individuals hold 11% of world wealth. Accounting firms manage the compliance for 98% of these assets. The Prime Minister nods. He signs the document. He puts the paper down. You do not take notes. You leave the laptop closed. You stand up. You walk to the window. You look at the snow. You look at the mountains. You look at the clouds. You check the watch on your wrist. The metal reflects the light. You wait for the car. You pick up the pen. A new associate enters the lobby of the Rockefeller Center office. He wears a dark wool suit. He carries a leather messenger bag and a folder stamped with the University of Texas seal. He stops at the marble security desk. He hands over his driver's license. He waits for his printed badge. You stand 30 feet away by the express elevators. Did the view from the top actually change? You look at the red digital display. The screen shows the floor numbers descending. The stainless steel doors open. You step inside the empty car. He walks over. He steps into the elevator behind you. He adjusts his tie. He looks at his reflection in the polished brass panel. You keep your hands in your pockets. You look at the floor. The doors close. The elevator rises without a sound. The ledger remains open because the math never actually ends.